Hi, and welcome to the Senior Network. We are here at Bayshore, and we are thrilled to be here. Rodney, thank you for joining us. Brad, you're here, AccuQuest, and you are the Executive Director Manager, General Manager of Bayshore. It is phenomenal. I had the opportunity, I met a friend of mine, Melissa, who works with you, and I took a tour, and it is amazing. And we met a couple of folks on the way who were getting breakfast and just happy as all heck to be here. So thank you both for joining us. I'm really curious, and doing the Senior Network, now that I'm a senior, has a lot more impact on the questions that I want to ask. And really, I think for many of us who have parents who are aging, I want to talk a little bit about first Bayshore and then the impact of hearing. And I think they segue beautifully, because I know that with my parents now, my dad especially, wherever I go, hearing and sound is critical. So if we can start a little bit, Rodney, talk to me, if you will, about Bayshore conceptually, and then about your residents here.
Yeah, so the Bayshore was, it was the child of three gentlemen, Scott Doster, Greg Eigelhart, and Tilo Best, come with great experience in the senior realm. And they wanted to create a destination retirement community on Hilton Head Island. Just wanted a beautiful building, wanted amazing aesthetics, and wanted it to be a place that our seniors would be just thrilled to call home. It's waterfront, services second to none, and they wanted it to be like retiring on vacation.
What's the concept?
So the concept is independent living.
And jump in anytime.
No, you're okay.
So independent living and assisted living units. However, most retirement communities, you would have to move from independent living to an assisted living apartment once you've reached that point of needing more services. Here, you get to pick out, I want that apartment, and you stay in that apartment for the duration.
One bedroom, two bedroom?
We start at 1 bedrooms, go all the way up to 2 bedrooms, up to about 1,100 square feet.
Okay. Well, let me kind of switch over to you for a second and talk a little bit about AccuQuest, and then what you find that people who come to you are looking for. Yes? Is it to hear better?
Yeah, so it's not just that. It's usually because they're having a problem just at home. Having problems with their family, not hearing their grandkids, things that they kind of slowly creep up on them, and usually someone else kind of gives them a nudge, like you should go get your hearing checked, and it's usually someone else that notices it first.
How does a person know if they have hearing loss?
So usually the biggest thing is that the TV is all of a sudden very, very loud.
Okay,
so
all right.
That's always one thing. If they're not hearing a siren, if they're not hearing the microwave timer, they're constantly asking people to repeat. These are all signs of hearing loss.
I've worn hearing aids, I think, for a couple of years. I think I told you that. What was really interesting is when I went in for a hearing test, I felt like I could hear great. I couldn't understand. Okay, that was what was really bothering me.
Right.
Is that a pretty typical response for people?
You have what's called a high frequency hearing loss.
Okay.
So what that means is you're good at hearing the vowels and the power behind speech, but you're having trouble figuring out some of the consonants. So you are playing guesswork on which words are which.
Yeah, that's never a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
So
we
you just
answer
respond,
inappropriately many
exactly.
times, exactly. What is the biggest problem you have, or the biggest barrier you have for folks who come in to be tested, and then you say, you know what, I think you should have hearing aids?
So at that point, when I've already told them they have a hearing loss, I guess my biggest problem is to get them to do it.
Yeah, compliance.
It's a jumping off point, Sometimes people feel old when they really should feel young.
Oh.
Okay,
so here's the thing. I work a lot with adolescents, okay? And this is my new big thing. When I tell kids that I'm wearing hearing aids, they're like, that is so cool. Because they're all walking around with the Apple things that are big old white things sticking out of here, right? Not me. Right. I got my Bluetooth and they can't tell. Right. So I think the old days of being old and having to wear hearing aids and having a stigma are really gone. And that kind of brings me back to you, Rodney, with acoustics. One of the first things I think I said to Melissa was the acoustics when I walked in. It was, I could tell by the way you have designed Bayshore that was definitely an important piece of the way it was designed. Can you share a little bit about what that looks like here in specific rooms?
Sure, we have our seniors' needs in mind. So whether it's hearing, whether it's mobility, whether it's you know, the assistance they're going to need. You know, even our farthest apartments down the hallways, you know, we do break them up with, you know, really nice seating areas, handrails, even, you know, pull rails in the bathrooms and in the common areas. So, you know, in our minds, we're thinking of these things ahead of time so they don't feel less than when, you know, they might need to stop and rest, or they might get
So universal design is something that's probably really impactful and important for you here at Bayshore, meaning designing right for any age. And when I came in, I didn't feel as though I could identify Bayshore as a senior community.
Exactly.
It always looked like a resort. When I
Right?
thought.
Didn't
Exactly.
you think?
And
Right? What did you
Yeah.
think? Did you look outside and see the pool and everything?
did.
I was like,
Yeah.
day
And that's
spa?
that's the reaction we're going for is, you know, when the children that have parents that, you know, really need a space to move into, that they're not going to feel any sort of guilt.
Okay.
Because that's huge in, you know, this industry is
Oh, yeah.
the guilt that
Oh,
the
am I
family
putting my
feels.
parents there?
Well, I'm putting my parents.
You and I are like,
Yeah.
oh, no, we'll go.
You know, come to the Bayshore.
Yeah.
You know, it's on the water. We have a pier. We have a dock. We have a boat. You
Yeah,
know,
what
the
are
food
some
is
of the
great.
what are some of the other amenities?
Yep. So, you know, transportation services.
So what does that look like? What does that
So
mean?
we have a Mercedes sedan that will take you to appointments and,
I'm digging
you know,
that.
to
Right,
your,
look at-
to your hearing, to your
Yeah,
hearing,
exactly.
yep, to your audiologist. Yeah, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
And so, you know, that's available pretty much every day of the week if
Okay.
needed. You know, the dining services 3 times a day.
Oh,
You
they're
know,
okay.
chef created meals. You know, the food's outstanding. The-
One of the things that I noticed was, and I noticed it because it interested me, was yoga. You've got a lot of activities that aren't necessarily just what I think of as my grandmother's activities. They're more young and vibrant. What are some of the activities that you?
Yeah, so we do all sorts of things. You know, yoga. We do some water aerobics. We, you know, take a boat cruise twice a week. Right
Oh, do
now.
you really?
Yep. So we'll get out. We went to the lighthouse the other evening and spot dolphins. You know, it's funny. I took a dolphin cruise on the island and didn't see any dolphins, and I took our boat out and saw about 5.
I love
so,
it.
You know that you've got that at your, you know, literally at your fingertips here at the Bayshore. So, things like that. Like I said, the yoga. We've got all kinds of entertainers that come in multiple times during the month. I'd say probably about twice a week. We've got live entertainment upstairs in our
Oh, do you?
Bayview Club, which is an incredible space if you haven't seen it.
Is that a cocktail space?
It is. It is. We,
Just
you know,
asking.
all the entertainers typically are up there with the full bar, and it's got the same view
It's phenomenal.
right over the water on the 5th floor.
Can I ask both of you about your demographics? Who basically would come and be a candidate to live here?
So for us, it's about 78 female, pretty mobile.
Okay.
You know, just, you know, doesn't want to put up with a 4,000 square foot home.
Right.
You know, here on the island or
Okay.
in Bluffton. You know, they just don't want to do those things anymore. It's not that they can't, it's that they're choosing not to, and really want to be a part of a more social environment, because that's typically what's the first thing that goes is your social
Become
your social
isolated.
activities, and you know it's proven that isolation can really ramp up that aging process.
And I want to go back to the isolation piece for both of you, but I do want to ask you about a demographic. Who typically is someone who would come to you? Is there an age specifically?
So the statistics say the average person that's fit with a hearing the first time in the United States is 69 years old.
Okay.
But we range all over the board. So obviously the older the person, the more the hearing losses progress.
Okay.
So probably in about 70s is when I see most people. But I have clients that are young. They're younger than I am. So hearing loss can be genetic. There can be things that happen when they're young. So
We lived through Led Zeppelin, Who, all those great people, right? So
yeah, like he's saying with the isolation, that's a big piece with hearing as well. So if they stop going to restaurants, they stop going to parties, they stop going to things because they can't hear, then their quality of life suffers as well.
And I think that's really, really important. Don't you love it when they give us signals?
Yeah.
See, we don't have to hear a thing. All we have to do is watch, okay? But I think going back to the isolation, I want to come back to that in a second when we do come back, because I think that's a huge component to getting older, cognitive decline, and all of those kinds of things. Let's take a quick break here on the Senior Network. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.